We are sharp at the beginning. Thank you for attending our panel, or the participants, this panel of the Black Sea and Balkan Security Forum. Before I will introduce our speakers, I will make a short introduction because the food security problem and the global impact, it is a global impact of the war of Ukraine, it is a Balkan impact, it is a Black Sea region impact. We know that in the last decade we have faced major objectives of the United Nations, the Sustainable Development Goals. Starting in 2015, the United Nations developed the 2030 agenda for reaching the SDGs until 2013. But they provided a shared blueprint for peace and prosperity for all the people of the planet. It was the goal 2015, to reach it until 2030. They organized that ending poverty and other deprivations. All this has to go hand in hand with the strategies to improve health. One of the major 17 SDGs were no poverty, zero hunger, good health and well-being, sustainable communities, peace and justice. In the middle of this 15 period, from 2015 until 2030, from 2020-22, it was not forecasted that our region will face the war. Furthermore, last year in July, Russia refused to renew the Black Sea Grain Initiative, which temporarily enabled safe passage of Ukrainian food exports through the Black Sea. If we think that 2050 we set the objective zero hunger for all, 2024 we facing the food crisis in our region, which was not the case in 2015. These are just some reasons to ask us what measures can we take to mitigate and to damage the causes, the damage caused by the war in Ukraine for the agricultural and for the food sector. How can Ukraine's partners assist in this endeavor? How are the Russians' attempts to weaponize food supplies affecting other regions of the world? And how effective have alternatives measures provided to be so far? In June 2024, it will take place the Ukraine Summit, Security Summit in Switzerland. Can we have a concrete message from now until then? These are some short issues and subjects and to think about and questions, and hopefully in this 1 hour panel today we can have some not some answers, but maybe some directions where we are going, facing what happens today. Let me introduce shortly our speakers. Mr. Taras Kachka is the Deputy Minister for Economic Development, Trade and Agriculture, and Trade Representative from Ukraine. Mr. Kachka has held his position since 2019. He is an expert in international law with extensive experience in the private sector, international environment and government. He was a member of Ukraine negotiation team for Ukraine and the European Union Association Agreement. Previously, he worked as a Deputy Executive Director and Strategic Advisor at the International Renaissance Foundation and the Vice President for Strategic Development at the American Chamber of Commerce in Ukraine. Mr. Kachka has a background as a lawyer. He graduated from Taras Shevchenko National University of Kyiv with a master's degree in international law and at the National School of Public Administration in Warsaw. Mrs. Svitlana Kovalchuk is the current Executive Director of Yalta European Strategy. For the last 5 years, she has been actively involved in the international projects and the Viktor Pinchuk Foundation, which promote Ukraine on the international stage and discuss the most important topics on the world of gender in Ukraine, including the Ukraine events at the World Economic Forum in Davos and at the Munich Security Conference. She previously worked on projects on German cooperation for international cooperation in Ukraine in the field of strengthening the institutional capacity of state and local authorities of Ukraine in the implementation of special projects of the German government. She graduated the Kiev Institute of International Relations and a PhD thesis on military political unions. A graduate of the John Kennedy School of Government Leadership course, and she is also author of several publications in media and on foreign policies. Mr. Jean Valvis, one of the most important foreign entrepreneurs in Romania. As background, he has an architect engineer degree from the National Technical University of Athens and an advanced graduate diploma in architectural aesthetics from University Paris I Panthéon-Sorbonne. 1994, Mr. Valvis established the Valvis Holding and setting up the famous Dorna Apemin, a joint stock company with Romanian Swiss capital. 1998, he established Dorna Lactate. Also 2002, he concluded the transaction with Coca-Cola and sells Dorna Mineral Water division. Same year, he also laid the foundations of the ecological biofarms projects as part of the ecological agricultural activity. 2006, he invested in Vitipomicola Sâmburești in Romania, and 2009, he launched a range of wines under the brands Chateau Valvis, Domeniile Sâmburești, and Sâmburel de Olt. 2008, La Dorna Dairy Products division is sold to Lactis. 2010, he extended investments in agriculture, and his major goal now is the eco-energy projects with Dorna Agriland on the 8,000 hectares land. It's in south of Romania. And also, we already know he launched the brand Aqua Carpatica, the only natural sparkling mineral water in the world with a nitrate-free, actually with 0 gram nitrates per liter. Even from its launch, Aqua Carpatica became a success and a serious competitor for the mineral water market in Romania, that claimed the purest mineral water in the world. And not at least, Mr. Mihai Tănăsescu, specialized in business administration, supply chain management, strategic company development activities. He has strong financial and operational management experience. He has been the managing partner of Hydrosalt since 2018, where he oversees the company's strategic business development, among other responsibilities. He formerly worked as a strategic business development consultant, advising on strategic business development initiatives in Romania and Bulgaria and Macedonia and Albania. He also served as Vice President of Strategic Business Development at UTI Group, also CEO and co-owner of Soral International Company, a supply chain company, a chain company of the UTI Group, and procurement director at UTI Trading. Mr. Tănăsescu is engineer, graduated from Bucharest Polytechnical University. These are our speakers, and I will invite our first speaker in this panel. Your Excellency, please, you have the word.
Okay, so good afternoon, dear colleagues. So for me, it's pleasure to be here in person and to talk about food security. So that this topic is rather classical, as you mentioned, that it's part of sustainable development goals of the United Nations, and for us, but at the same time, so that's why whatever we discussed, it will be just like a minor element in very broad discussion. So starting with access to food and the sustainability of food systems, etc. But I think that taking into account that this is rather security forum, I think that we need to bear in mind that we have several security implications in food security, so that and we saw it related to the logistics in case of Russian aggression in the Black Sea, and we see how, so that what we underline constantly is that aggression against Ukraine causes some food security challenges around the globe. So this is very unique element, because like in humanitarian law, it's classic, like in Geneva conventions, that what is what is illegal under humanitarian law is to create hunger in the territory and society that the state is attacked. Yeah, so that if the city is under siege, so therefore the state cannot create a hunger in this city. But in case of Ukraine in 2022, it was quite opposite, because it was like Odessa and seaports in Odessa region were under siege, blocked, but the hunger increased somewhere else, in Somalia, in other states, etc. So this is something new for humanitarian law, for security issues, and how aggression against net exporting state, and this is important for Romania as well, because Romania is a big exporter, can actually create a global security challenge. And that's why food security is a part of peace formula of President Zelensky, and it will be discussed during summit in Switzerland. We did a lot, so that now I think that together with our partners, we managed to mitigate these challenges and problems that existed in the Black Sea. And once again, so it is very clear, so that we have two examples behind us. In 2022, it was Black Sea Grain Initiative brokered by Turkey and the United Nations, with participation of Russia, and Russia blocked it, sabotaged it, and tried to also to use its participation in the initiative as another leverage on global south, on the net importing state. The current system of navigation is definitely better, because it's like free of any intermediary, any kind of inspections, and any type of additional decision on whether to send vessel to any destination or not. And it is based on two implications. So first is security, so that the fact that we managed together with our partners to ensure the proper protection of sea routes. We can send vessels out of free seaports from Ukraine quite freely. And what is important is that the tempo of movement to and out of seaports is increasing. Now we are able to send very big vessels. So the biggest one was for 20,000 tons. So it means that it is not only like small, cheap, and like short distance vessels, but rather oceanic, big, and it means that the security situation is quite good. And second, and most important, is a good cooperation between Ukraine and Romania that ensured that we are relying not only on Ukrainian seaports, but we are using our river infrastructure, road infrastructure, railway infrastructure, and also the potential of Constanța port. And it creates a new dimension for security policy in the Black Sea, because in my experience, usually when it was like tradition to talk about Black Sea region where as a source of Ukrainian, Russian, and Kazakh grain to outer world. Now with and Turkey as a blending state, yeah, so that it was mixing all kind of grains, particularly wheat, to produce flour or pasta and send globally. Now I think that this partnership between Ukraine and Romania creates like new center of gravitation in the Black Sea in terms of our net exporting potential for the global food security, and we need to also to cherish it, so to provide proper security environment for this, but as well also to promote our role in the global food security. And I think that this example is very successful, and how we manage to involve into this cooperation companies, governments, EU institutions, NATO, and it actually a case that can be used as a let's say like business case for all security studies in the mix of like classical security and like military security and food security as well. But there is another implication here, so that this implication is more visible with our neighbor, with Poland, so that food security is based, after all, not only on normal operation of global markets, but also on domestic production. So that, and the domestic production is like a core element for food security. Also for net importing states, they want to ensure so that they produce enough food to feed people in their society. So because the first step is to produce enough food where you live. Yeah. So that, but this case is quite sensitive, because in reality this race for increasing domestic production has some limits, especially environmental limits, because in some states you have lack of water, for example, and there is a dimension of assessment of whether a state can be net exporting, net importing state, is also based so that people are talking about how soil is fertile, but in reality water is more important, and the scarce of water, what we see in the south of Europe, in Italy and Spain, is actually a starting point for understanding why they will be dependent on supply of corn and wheat from Ukraine and from Black Sea region in general. But in order to have domestic production, you need to have a predictability, and this predictability is based on mutual understanding of your food system. So that this is what happened between us and Poland, is that Ukraine, with our habits of production of grains, exporting of grains, that Ukraine has a, let's say, is based on big companies that having rather hundreds of thousands of hectares in their operation, is absolutely different from Polish agriculture, where the majority of players are rather small and even micro farmers having like several hectares, less than 5 hectares, and so that's why for them, so that the difference in approaches led to a lot of misunderstandings. So that's why for us now, what is important for the stable future is have mutual understanding on how agriculture in Ukraine and in Romania are developing by themselves, in order to ensure that we not only peacefully coexist, so that this is the case for us and Poland, and now we are going through very painful but constructive discussions about the future of agriculture, how we can live with open border and not creating any fears, and not only like actual damage, but even fears to each other, in order to ensure that we support each other. So in case of Romania, I think that we also managed to find this mutual understanding, and that's why we operate without any major like obstacles or prohibitions or limitations between us. But in any case, just to conclude, I think that it will take another several years before we will be in a situation when all farmers, without additional supportive, additional information campaign or additional work from government, the farmers will be able to judge by themselves what cultures to grow, about their businesses and so on. Because for the moment, what we have inside Ukraine is that farming production of grain is too risky because of volatility of different factors. So that is particularly price. And we hope that the price will be stable, because you can make business with low prices, with high prices, but you need to be predictable. So that's why we will need to have 3, 4, or even 5 years before the situation can be more predictable for all farmers and more, let's say, calm, and before the food security can shift more to classical agenda of sustainable development goal framework. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You put some major problems in front of us, but we will talk about during our discussions. Please, Ms. Svetlana Kovalchuk.
Thank you. Food actually was all the time silent weapons of Russia. We all remember, and it's not my words, it's word of Dmitry Medvedev, who used to be president of Russia and who is now deputy secretary of Council for Foreign Relations. So they all the time used food to bring more fear to the world. We all remember Holodomor, when Russia actually created big losses for Ukraine, and now we all understand that created food crisis was aimed to create big chaos in the countries of Africa and Latin America. And it's why my government, our presidents work a lot with Global South. It's why Global South became like one of our top priorities. And just to say some numbers, at the 20 years ago, actually Ukraine exported food to feed 20 million people, and now it's more. Ukraine exported food more for 400 million. So we speak about increasing of food supply in 20 times. It's why food security became so important for Russia, and it's why they created so many challenges to us. And we all understand that now the whole world is interconnected. What happened in Ukraine has consequences even in Africa, Latin America, and so on. And food security became one of main element of peace formula of President Zelensky. Actually, the main idea, main platform how the future world should look like. And based on this formula, actually the main work in the field of food security is concentrated on the creation of food security guarantees in food sphere. What does it mean? Actually, now we work a lot on signing security agreements with our partners country, and food security is part of the food security agreements. For example, when we speak about security agreement with the UK, there is a special part about creation maritime coalitions, and actually UK is obliged to provide for us security guarantees in maritime, and until 2030 Ukraine shall have security in Black Sea area. It's also is connected with the mining of sea territories, because other big problem is the mining, because logistic of all food suppliers, of course, should be safe, because we all know about big losses in the sea due to mined parts of sea. Other important part of work of our government is actually a launching of long-term program to increase capacity of transport roads through the Europe and our main countries. And in this case, it's of course our main priorities are our neighbors countries like Romania, Bulgaria, Greece, Croatia, Poland, Lithuania. It's all about increasing capacities to their capacity to accept Ukrainian food and to secure uninterrupted ways for exporting of Ukrainian food. Of course, as Taras already mentioned, the priorities is to ensuring the security of supply of goods to net importing countries. And actually, in this case, we speak about long-term contracts just to be forecast what is going to happen further. And because all these long-term contracts will create security as for country and also for local businesses who are deeply involved in all these initiatives. And of course, we shall also work a lot with our international partners on strengthening food security programs to help most vulnerable consumers. And in this case, we speak about actually our partners from Global South, because actually it's groups who are very vulnerable. If they will not have security in delivering food from Ukraine, from Europe, it will, as a result, have increasing of price and possibly humanitarian catastrophes in all over the world. So it's our main priorities of our government for the Office of Presidents, and on the Peace Security Summit, which is going to be in June, we hope that we will have some already positive results to discuss and present to the world.
Yes, very interesting discussion, Mr. Minister. And my position is very delicate because supporting Ukraine from the start, I fully understand what you said. And we all understand that Russia have an interest to weaponize food for strategic reasons, for economic reasons, for military reasons, for diplomacy, and for asking for partners to stop the sanctions. So I am one of the members who immediately sustained Ukrainian efforts in this war, and not only by my products, but a lot of actions with people who come here also. Immigrants was very big people and should be assisted. The question who put me in a delicate situation is that I am also a producer in agriculture product. And what we observe, according to some statistics, some 55 to 60% of the Ukrainian cereals have been exported through Romania. It's not a Czech numbers, but that reflect how Romania is a friendly country and really made a big effort with the infrastructure. Roads, rail, trains, silo, which sometimes create also delays for the local production. I would like to mention that farmers in Romania start to have a feeling of unsatisfaction, which is economic purely, because the 10 to 15% discount of your products affect their production. And there is a real phenomena. We are not here to do propaganda. We are here because we are serious people that works from 30 years as investors. The information who comes to me is that small and medium farms and even farms of 2,000 hectares, I'm not referring to the Polish ones that you mentioned, because there are also here in big majority, but those people try to suffer now because there is a coincidence of facts. The supply chain, which increased the prices of the inputs in agriculture, the drought of the last year, which was terrible, especially for the corn, which need water. The prices go down. The irrigation system doesn't advance because you have right. Every country have his plafond, his maximum capacity to produce. But the reality is that discounting prices and having different condition in agriculture, in food security, because this is the issue. There is no harmonization, fiscal harmonization. There is no harmonization of the rules. What pesticide, some things are forbidden in Europe, which diminuate the production. They are not forbidden in Ukraine, which allowed to make more. And those differences create a feeling, a negative feeling. I absolutely agree with the position of the minister that the food security, it's not only the ways to export and distribute, it's also the capacity to be autonomous in a national level. Food security cannot be only how the vessel come and go. Food security means that every country have his own stock. And if I would like to resume my thinking, which is, I recognize there is no clear proposals because there is a war. There is a war. Our friends, our neighbors have a war. What do we do with this war? Because by the time farms enter in bankruptcy, and this is true, people are not satisfied, and we delay a lot of promises from 3 points of view. One, the European Union. I remember you that the convergence of the subsidies in Romania are still in the 70% of the average subsidies of the European countries. And Romania is in the EU from 2007. So 2007, 3, and 2, 17 years, we are still at 70% of the subsidies. One. Two, and this is a message for the European Union. Two, the negotiation for the new agricultural policy, they are not very clear. Huh? I don't know if they are for you, Mr. Minister, but for us it's not.
The same question from us. Yes.
Okay, so we have both the same problem with the EU. So the EU have to react a little bit quicker and with transparency. Harmonization of this difference is not an easy job. Everyone knows that. There is a lot of interest. There is no different interest. There is no nations. But we are here to observe in an objective way what's happened. And what's happened is not very happy. The positive news is that I saw the announcement of your government from Kiev that you successfully export 44 million tons of cereal, which is a success, a bravo. But in Romania, the farmers suffer. So, if to conclude, Mr. Professor, I conclude. And I'm sorry for the spontaneity of my observations, but I'm here to say what is my experience, and I'm going to do that. The fund for the risk of the European Union, which gave a compensation for those problems, to inform you, there was a compensation of €100 per hectare, which is peanuts. The fund for risk of the European Union for agriculture should be at least 10 times bigger. But agriculture is not a very prime priority. Le fond du risque, I don't know how to say it in English. They have distributed some hundreds of millions, but it should be, a calcul say that the compensation should be at the level of 8 to 10 billions euro. And they distribute some hundreds. 1, 2, the conversions for the subsidies. I have a message also for the Romanian government, because the Romanian government is not neutral. And we ask as ownership association, FIC, CDR, AmCham, Chamber of Commerce from France and Germany, we ask, put money on infrastructure for irrigation. We have the Danube. I am in Kalarashi. I am next to the Danube. And I'm still wait the magistral irrigation system. After 14 years of asking strategically development of the agriculture, last year I lost 400 hectares of corn because of the drought and because the water was not coming from the magistral irrigation system. The secondary, I finished it. The secondary is finished, is brand new, and he doesn't receive for the magistral, which is propriety of the state. Voila. So I'm a little bit perplexed. I don't know how this situation will finish and what is the condition. I don't know the supportability that they are. I mean, I don't know the limits and the reaction of the people. I see that Romania, and I'm very happy as a Greek citizen and Swiss citizen, I'm very happy to see the Romanians next to their neighbors. This is very good. And I hope that the neighbors, Ukrainians, when a day when everything will finish and will be in peace, will remember also some counter things to all the sacrifice that Romania do this today. Because I never heard something like that. I'm a businessman, you know. I'm a businessman, I'm a citizen, I'm a conscious citizen who help peace and rules of the UN. But I would like to hear also some days when the issues will be done, what we're going to do with all this infrastructure, how are we going to go together in the future? It's not enough to be in one sense. It has to be in double sense. Voilà. Merci.
Thank you. Thank Mr. Varves for these 2 points of view. Firstly, as a major supporter of our friends of the Ukrainian people from the beginning through your personal interventions, because it was and it is harder. And secondly, your point of view as a agriculture and producer and businessman, and you are facing this and present us these problems. Please, Mr. Tănăsescu.
Thank you. Hello. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So, last but not least, the heavyweight is coming, and please do not look at my body size. I'm referring to the dimension of the subject and the weight of the subject, which I prepared for you today. So this is a construction company perspective concerning the food security and the food systems. I will kindly ask Mr. Valvis to help me with the pointer. Thank you. Hopefully you will not ask me something back in exchange. Okay, so what I prepared for you, some introductory remarks. Of course, we'll explore the crucial role of the Black Sea region in food production and its impact on global food security. The issues are already mentioned by Mr. Chairman and also my co-speakers. I will not insist on this part. So, concerning the importance of the Black Sea region and agricultural potential. In an interconnected global world, every region bears the capacity to have an impact on global food supply. The action Russia designed the war wage against Ukraine in the Black Sea had showcased the importance of proper contingency planning of infrastructure and logistics. Furthermore, it's the importance of agriculture and food diversification has once again been underscored, unfortunately. The Black Sea is famous for fertile soils and weather, which is conducive to crop production. Nonetheless, there is no regional consensus as how to maximize these opportunities. Therefore, it's utmost importance for each country to have its own well-developed strategy to food security. Construction companies are valuable players, this because they are able to participate to the construction of the infrastructure, big infrastructure, critical infrastructure, regular infrastructure for people, for governments, for neighbors. So finally, considering this aspect, I just want to point out that in the wider context of climate change and resource scarcity, construction companies can contribute to increase the environmental responsible building and development. And now we are going further to some challenges facing the Black Sea region. So these are the problem and the impacts. So addressing these impacts of the conflict, it's crucial to ensuring food security and stability in the region. This can only be done if at national level, each country takes responsible measures to ensure the development of private sector, if each littoral count has strong institutions and a well-functioning, resilient society to include civil society and private sector. Several Black Sea countries need to work on the balance between private and state sector production to ensure the GDP growth comes from all directions. This challenge will pose. So the other issues concerning the Black Sea, of course, pollution, marine litter, and issues with the plastic disposal. So these aspects, together with the economic challenges, infrastructure issues, and the Russian robust ability to continue disrupting shipping across the Black Sea, remains pose serious challenge to the region. Considering the construction company roles, it's obviously clear, I will not insist on it, you can read it as well. Of course, our vision extends beyond the infrastructure development to include initiatives that promote peace, stability, resilience in this region. Go further, so how we can mitigate these damages? What measure can be taken? So, the severe damage caused by the unprovoked invasion of Ukraine by the Russian Federation can only be indeed mitigated when the region as a whole has a healthy and robust agrarian industrial dimension. For Romania, for example, this means employing construction companies and other key stakeholders in building a usable network of transport routes, as well as warehouse facility and so on and so forth. Interconnectivity, we have to admit, in the Black Sea region is not optimal, let's use this word, at this point, and there is substantial room for improvement. Some measures that we can be taken, obviously infrastructure rehabilitation, I will not insist on it, roads, infrastructure, irrigation system, storage facilities. Market support, it's important, and institutional support for all the players from the region. Support the development of value-added processing facility and marketing initiative to increase also the competitiveness of Ukrainian agriculture products. When we are talking about food security, the resilience of food security, there are very important issues that should take into consideration. So building resilience means helping individuals, households, communities, countries prepare, cope, and recover from shocks like conflicts, weather conditions, earthquakes, and so on and so forth. So it is important to factor that resilience, enhancing food security policy and programs are highly context specific. Specifically for the Black Sea, Most littler states have significant areas of opportunity when it comes to conflict and disaster readiness. Turkey, for example, with the earthquake, Romania, during any emergency situation. But this is another aspect that my co-speaker, Mr. Minister, discussed about this a little bit. So when we're talking about resilience for food security, first of all, we need to have a resilient food system. Food systems not only for Ukraine, for all countries from the region. And I found a very good, in my opinion, definition, and you can read it here. It's the definition developed by the International Food Policy Research Institute. And I really, only in this case, I would like to read it from here, because we have to bear in our minds that the food systems, resilient food systems, are those in which people, communities, countries, and the global institutions prevent, anticipate, prepare for, cope with, and recover from shocks, and not only, and this is the main idea, not only bounce back where they were before the shocks occurred, but become even better off. Of course, the components, and also the minister also discussed about this. We need policies, markets, trade, institution, production. I will not insist on this because my co-speakers already did it. So some final remarks. The Black Sea region plays, of course, a vital role in global food security. Together, we can build a more resilient and sustainable future for food production in the Black Sea region. All major Romanian construction companies, and we are speaking now also, we are member in the Federation of the Romanian Construction Companies, and I can assure you that this is the position from all our colleagues. We are committed to support the regional agricultural sector through infrastructure development and technology and innovation. And last, and with the most convenient way, is to thank you for your attention and enjoy this forum. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you. I will continue with your last words and remark how to prevent, how to anticipate, and how to prepare for, how to predict when we have a war. Can we predict in extremely unpredictable conditions? We are 2024, it's already 2 years, yes? And in Switzerland in June we will have the Ukraine Safety Summit. The present is harder as 2 years ago. Mr. Kachka underlined then that in terms of facilitating the transport, luckily some progress and big progress was already done. But we can see now it's not just the matter of production, it's also the matter of marketing on a free market. Because it's an unbalance between the price of the inputs and of the outputs. Mr. Valbis also said this. Instead of solutions of the global for the global food security, and Mrs. Kovalchuk said instead of to find solutions for Africa, yes, the war created major problems in the neighborhood countries. How you can see predictable in unpredictable conditions?
I think that you, from these four of us, so that everyone presented its own element, yes, and I think that the big problem of food security as a topic for policy making is that it looks like very simple. So that we are so used to have our croissants, yeah, so that or bread, yeah, so that the daily bread, so that it looks like you put a grain into the soil and tomorrow you have a full a lot of pastries, yes, or pasta, yeah, already made. So it's, but you see that more you go in depth in this topic, it's getting more and more complicated. I think that one thing is emergency, so that, and we managed to deal with emergency, because emergency for food security in case of Ukraine, the emergency was to supply some food to people in Ukraine, so that we are net exporting state, but in first weeks of war, we've been looking for some humanitarian support for people who suffered near front line, it was really a problem also for us to restore normal supply of food domestically. So, but this is emergency. And I think that managed together with all support, and this is really one of elements for discussion for all security topics. But what is more important is this, I think that the future common agricultural policy of the European Union should be constructed on the, or not only on the economics of farming, so that not only on domestic policies, but also take into account food security in general. And we need to revise a lot of these things, because I think that now we see that we cannot only put a lot of attention for the social dimension of rural area, that people are living there, so that the subsidies to small farmers, for whatever reasons they need to maintain their operation. Like we see that there's some examples here in Romania, Poland, in every member states of the European Union. And we cannot just put all the bets on this part. And of course the free market, so that these two words are actually scary farmers around the globe, yeah, so that because free markets are, yeah, and that's why the question, when farmers are protesting around the Europe, it's also a security topic. It means that they are not safe. It's also a matter of domestic security. So that's why now it's a time, so 2024 is a good year to model policies related to food from all security dimension and classical agricultural policy in a way that ensure this kind of stability. And we cannot just defend the previous models. So in any case, Ukraine and Romania, we need to, as I said, that we need to combine all these, our models of agriculture, and also to ensure that all these nuances that create some irritations or fears, because should be tackled by common agricultural policy of the European Union. Because in my opinion, it is that the worst is to assess the interoperations between Ukrainian and Romanian agriculture only in the light of war. So that's in reality, the world has changed, so that now this regional trade will continue, so that we see that the infrastructure is developing, so that silos, so that the different kind of transshipment terminals, dry ports, Constanța is evolving, so Constanța increased transshipment by 2 times almost, yeah, so that last year, so that it was a record year for Constanța, and Constanța may be the only port that has capacity to increase further. And it means that Constanța will be important for Ukrainian export, even if it will be peace and stability and everything is okay in Black Sea. So it is plus, but also a challenge for domestic market. So that's why for us this instability relies also on the way how we perceive this, let's say, common future of let's say, European continental agriculture. And by the way, it's also quite important to see that how Russia transformed its domestic agriculture. So that it also changed a lot. So that a lot of major international companies left Russia. So there are a lot of challenges there, so that Russia tries to present itself as a major exporter of wheat globally, but now they face a lot of strategic challenges, and that's why also our role will increase. It's also a matter of models of supply and of food globally, because I think that we rely more on this sustainable development of domestic farming, we rely on market forces, so that it means that logistics, traders, producers, scientists, all they work together in a very complex food system. Russia promotes very, let's say, political driven exports, that when government actually indicates where to send, whether to sell or not to sell. And it's not only like, and this is not only two models, because after all we have India with their role on public stock holdings that is discussed in World Trade Organizations as another model of constructing agriculture and export and food security. So therefore this topic is quite rich, and we have our own agenda, and that should be taken into account. And this is quite interesting when the topics that are, let's say, radically opposite, so that the common agricultural policy, which is really something that is out of the security agenda, yeah, and classical security, they are going together in next several years, and our knowledge, common knowledge on how to deal with these issues simultaneously will be our competitive advantage. So both for Ukraine and Romania. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Varvis, also from the internal point of view.
Very good reflections, Mr. Minister. But I see that there is a clear trend in the European Union not to take power or not to see the small farming disappear. And it's very challenging what you say, because if you see the policy of the subventions, the structural funds, the criteria for the small farms are more powerful than what they provide for the big scale of farming. So I realize now, with what you said, that I cannot separate any agriculture production from the question of the safety. I cannot split this issue. All agricultural production, even the small one or the big one, is a question of safety. And I realize that indeed in Ukraine you have a huge surface. I don't know what is the average of the farming in Ukraine, but I believe it's bigger than the middle of Europe in any case. So you have a thinking as an exporter. I have a thinking as a local production for the nation. And probably the very big difficulty is to see how we establish disequilibre, balanced between the two scales. Because I don't believe that you trace the same policy if you have a 10,000 or 50,000 hectares operation with the social structure of the agriculture in the old Europe, which EU wish to maintain.
Thank you. I think for the common agriculture policy and future member, if Ukraine will be in the European Union, and then the common agriculture policy has to face all these things, and also in the matter of food safety, it will be a step forward. Thank you all for participating in this panel. I invite you after a 10 minutes break to the next session downstairs. It will be the next panel, what new mega threats the global economy facing the security front for challenges, and we start 12:30. Thank you very much.